Alright, it's been 15 years since Tron Legacy hit theaters, and now here we are a couple $100 million later, and we have another Tron movie. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Cinema Corner. I'm Josh, and today we're going to be talking about Tron Ares, which is the latest film in now a 3-film franchise that is owned and run by Disney. I would consider myself a newcomer to the fan base of Tron because I had actually never seen the original from the 80s or Tron Legacy until April of this year. I watched both of those in preparation for this release. And to be honest, I don't consider the original to be a great original piece of sci-fi art or anything, but I think it's decent enough, and if anything, it almost created a blueprint for what green screen effects could look like in the future, and I think it was kind of one of those pioneer sci-fi films that introduced audiences to that, and for its time it was very impressive. It is fascinating to me how something that seems so primitive now has erupted into, I guess not a massive franchise because there have only been 3 films, but Disney puts a lot of money into these things, and now to move into talking about Tron Legacy, I know it's not the most universally loved film, and it does have its issues, but I think it's great, very underappreciated in what it's trying to be. It's more of a vibe than it is a storytelling experience, I can admit that, but I don't think the story's bad at all. In terms of what Tron Ares is trying to do, I think I speak for a lot of the fan base when I say that most of us would have preferred to have just gotten a direct sequel to Tron Legacy instead of all of this, which we're about to talk about in a minute. But for better or worse, I do think this movie had a lot of potential in what it was trying to tackle. It quite literally takes the franchise to new territory. The plot of Tron Ares follows 2 warring corporations, Encom and Dillinger Systems, Encom being the corporation that was once founded by Kevin Flynn, which is a character that we know from the previous entries. Each of these megacorps are in a race to develop the next cutting-edge AI technology before the other, and Dillinger has finally figured it out. They can bring programs and objects from the digital grid to the real world, which is something that we've not seen yet in this series. The problem is they can only exist in our physical world for about 30 minutes. After that, they disintegrate, and nobody has been able to crack the code on how to get them to remain for longer. And so the plot centers around various characters trying to gain possession of a MacGuffin device known as the Permanence Code, which will allow objects and programs from the grid to remain in our world indefinitely. Encom and Dillinger both have very different ideas of how to use that technology, and that was actually the closest this movie came to having any sort of social commentary or relevance in the world of AI and modern technology. Ares is a master control program created by Dillinger, and he is one of 2 super soldiers who are tasked with locating the Permanence Code and bringing it to his boss, Dillinger himself, played by Evan Peters. But before long, he begins to question his understanding of reality and the intentions of his creator. Ready for me to state the obvious? The movie looks great. Disney is no stranger to pumping millions upon millions of dollars into these big projects and making them still look like shit somehow, but with Tron it seems like they always stick the landing, and this is no exception. Some of the VFX in this, particularly the sequences on the light cycles, are very impressive. Nine Inch Nails brings us a very different score from Daft Punk's elegant, triumphant offerings in Legacy, instead aiming for a more ominous, percussive soundtrack, and for better or worse, I enjoyed it. I don't think it's quite on the level of Daft Punk's, which every once in a while, I pull up tracks from Legacy's soundtrack and listen to them. I don't know that this film will have that same reaction from me, but it does have a very strong, pulsating beat to it that pretty much fluctuates in and out throughout the entire film. But what absolutely baffles me is how they managed to make this concept so inert. Take a look at Ares, an artificial intelligence entering the real physical world, becoming sentient, learning what it means to feel. It's a basic story template that we've seen time and time again, most notably in something like Ex Machina. The problem here is that the destination for Ares in the story feels completely unearned. We don't actually watch Ares learn to feel and to understand humanity as a motivation to act against his directive. He just says shitty one-liners every once in a while, cracks some jokes here and there, which fluctuate in terms of effectiveness, but most of them made me roll my eyes. And I guess in addition to starring in the film, Jared Leto is an executive producer, and this just has the overall stench of his intervention. Like, maybe we could have gotten something that was more of a direct follow-up to Tron Legacy, but Jared Leto had his ideas and wanted to star in the film and kind of made it his thing, and I think it's all the worse for it. I just can't stand him and that smug little smile that he has on his face through most of the runtime as Ares, and I understand that he's playing a program, so he's not meant to be particularly emotive, but according to Ares' character arc, he is supposed to become sentient and start to understand humans and human emotions, but the movie didn't make me feel that, and Leto's performance certainly isn't doing it any favors. Greta Lee plays Eve, the CEO of Encom, and this felt like a completely unconfident performance. I think she's a talented actress, and she does what she can with the part, I suppose. I can't tell if she's just miscast or if she's overacting and doesn't know what to do with the material. Granted, I can't blame her because there's not much material to work with. The greatest amount of depth we get from her character is some backstory regarding the death of her sister that I found to be so incredibly hammy. The highlight for me might actually be Jodie Turner-Smith as Athena, the AI that's trying to stop Ares after he goes rogue. Now, I know I said that this movie takes the franchise to new territory, and for the most part it is trying to be its own thing set in this world, but there are a few specific sequences that blatantly exist as callbacks to Legacy, and in some cases the original Tron as well. It just feels so empty and clunky in terms of structure and pacing. Admittedly, a lot of my criticisms of this film happen to be ones that I have heard directed at Tron Legacy before, and I disagreed with them then, but those same issues are precisely what I am seeing in Tron Ares. So I guess what I mean by that is, if you didn't like Tron Legacy, I think you're really going to dislike this one because it has even less going for it. The visuals are good. The soundtrack is good. They are still subpar compared to their predecessor, and the fact that the story is about 10 times worse only makes the movie all the more frustrating, especially when it has all these potentially fulfilling elements in here about AI and consciousness. None of it is explored in a way that I found to be intriguing or worth your time. Even if you think the story for Tron Legacy was bad, I at least think we can agree that some of the characters in that movie were memorable, particularly Jeff Bridges, of course, and Olivia Wilde. Both of those characters, I can at least instantly think of them in my head. None of the characters in this movie are memorable. Evan Peters is playing a total cartoon cutout character as the CEO of Dillinger Systems. The second half of the film has a lot of comic relief courtesy of Eve's employees, I believe. All of it made me roll my eyes. It is just such cheap, low-hanging fruit. I don't understand why Disney is able to put so much money into making a movie like this look and sound good, but for some reason they totally cut themselves short when it comes to the screenplay, because this felt like such an easy win. This movie could have been at the very least decent if they just spent a little bit more time on finding somebody who can write a compelling story out of these ideas. If all you want is a light show that's pretty and loud and makes the whole theater thump to its beat, you'll get that. But if you want anything else, I think you'll be sorely let down by this. I'm going to give Tron Ares 2 stars. So yeah, as a big fan of Tron Legacy, I'm quite disappointed. Those are my thoughts on the film. Be sure to drop down into the comments and let me know what you think of it if you do see it. And I suppose if you're going to see this, I would recommend doing so in IMAX, or at least the most visually bombastic format that you can find. I guess that's the environment that enhances the film's strengths the best, which are the visuals and the soundtrack by 9 Inch Nails. Before you take off, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.